open source game engine. Lesson 11.
Assalamualaikum and hi. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Redza. I'm from Student International, and today I'd like to present my experience during the development of maturity system. So, a few days ago, there was a workshop conducted by us. It's about open source on Unity. So today I would like to share with you my experience using other open source game engine other than Unity and other experience during the development of maturity system. Okay, I'm going to cover 7 topics. I'm going to talk about terminologies, open source, engine experience, Kinect device, Redza device, head-mounted display device, and audio. Now, what is virtual reality? Virtual reality refers to the high-end user interface that involves interaction in real time. So, to interact in real time, the user requires a keyboard, joystick, Redza and tracker. So, in this presentation, I'm going to focus on Redza and tracker in virtual reality environments. So, this virtual reality also involves an immersions of visual, haptic, and audio. Now, what is haptic? Haptic is basically is human sense of touch that we can feel pressure, heat, and cold. Now, over here is the basic component of virtual reality in the system. We have a display. In our case, we use a head-mount display over here, and a tracker. The head-mount display is being embedded inside the tracker. And the haptic device, audio, and input. I'm going to basically talk about the first 4 of this point. Over here, we got the virtual reality system architecture. Basically, a user will perform a certain task inside the virtual reality environment, and then to perform the task, you need an input device, a joystick, joystick controller, and tracker. In our case, the head-mount display have a tracker inside it, and the data will be sent into the virtual reality engines, and the data in the database will be sent back into the output device, the HMD, and the headset for the audio, and they send the data back to the user. So, in order to develop a virtual reality system, we can use and license an open source to create it. So, in this presentation, an open source game engine is used to develop the virtual reality environments. So, I will focus on this open source. So, what is open source? Basically, open source is a category of a source code is made freely available distribution and modification freely by the others. So there are many types of open source out there. For example, open source on OS, open source on video codecs, open source on many things. One of the open source that I'm going to explain to you was open source on game engines. There are many open source game engines out there, such as Unity, Unreal Engine 4. The one I'm going to focus in this presentation in open source of CryEngine, developed by Crytex. So, what is CryEngine? Basically, CryEngine have 2 versions. The free version is an open source version, and non-commercialized use. It used for research purpose. And paid versions where you need to get a license to sell your end product to the virtual environment. So the difference between these two game engine is, and two version is, you just add on tools and new material option inside their system. So we use three type of version in our virtual reality system. The first time we use a 3.4, and then we use 3.4 and 0.5. So the that I'm going to focus in this presentation is 3.4.5, and I will explain why. And the latest version for this version of the open source version is 3.5.8, and the latest paid version is 3.6. So in this case, I'm going to focus on the open source. So this CryEngine gives a developer full control over the multiple platforms, such as can be embedded, it can be transferred into the Windows, Linux, and mobile device. So this CryEngine is enabled for faster iteration during the development of virtual reality environments. So the reason that we use this CryEngine instead of others console game engine is we provide a graphical programming code called flow graph system. So basically, this flow graph system is a code that we convert into the graphical image. So it supports a multiple platform that I mentioned earlier. And the two main reasons we use this CryEngine is because you have a real-time spatial effect. You can apply a real-time effect simultaneously inside this, such as physics inside the virtual environment, lighting, and wind velocity, while in editing mode, which does not exist most of the open game engines. So the main reason we use this CryEngine is because it provides a new photorealism for vegetation and physics inside the virtual environments. So over here we got two examples of open source game engines. Over here you got Unreal Engines and CryEngine 3 that we use. So you can see that in terms of vegetation, the realism of vegetation for Unreal Engine is more cartoonish, a bit cartoonish compared to the CryEngine 3. You can see that it have a real realism inside the CryEngine 3. From that CryEngine, open source CryEngine, we developed example 5 sceneries: beach, paddy field, underwater, waterfall, and forest. Basically, we create this from scratch. It's not a picture of real world. So we also create a simulation of Bakundan in Sarawak for the TNB. So the problem that we encounter is it does not provide a support for head-mount display. And for example, in our case, is Oculus Rift brand. Later on, I will explain what is the what is HMD, what is Oculus Rift, and for that we only found one plugin works with CryEngines called plugin SDK. So below are the requirements you need to follow. So with the available SDK in the earlier slide, I managed to integrate the HMD with the CryEngine in the flow graph system. But we got a few problems over here where it does not provide natural head movement. For example, on base head orientation, sometimes it detects the HMD, sometimes it doesn't. So we have a conflict over there inside the programming. So for that purpose, in order to solve this problem by this flow graph, I came up with with a solution for better tracking purposes. So now I'm going to explain it. So this flow graph is basically called flow graph. This box over here is called nodes. That means you can see the arrow over here. I mean, transferred as a logic gate. This point where the CryEngine and the HMD are being integrated together, the device and the system. This is where the point where the HMD are being tracked for the X, Y, and Z. Over here is the middleware coding where you need to download it in the Crydex and Crydex communities. So one of the few devices we try to integrate this with this grinding open source is a Kinect. So what is Kinect? Basically, Kinect is a motion sensor add-on for export console. So this device is provide a natural user interface for interact without intermediate device such as controller in our hand. They provide a 3 version of Kinect: PC, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. The one that I experienced is Xbox 360 in this virtual reality environment. So this Kinect consists of RI emitter, infrared emitter, color sensor, infrared depth sensor, and a microphone array for audio detections. So the problem that we use this, and the reason that we use this Kinect is in our virtual reality system, we want to track our body and head movement, head orientation to give a natural feeling for the immersion purpose. We intend to get less equipment to interact with the virtual environment. So the problem that we encounter with this Kinect integration with the CryEngine is it does not provide a source code for emulate the keyboard for a source code for Kinect. So for that reason, we want to know whether this Kinect is suitable for virtual reality system or not. So there is, like I mentioned, there is no support, and for that reason, we use a middleware software to facilitate between Kinect and integration between Kinect and CryEngines. We use FAST. So FAST is basically a middleware software to integrate full body control with the game's virtual reality application. So you need to download these toolkits in order to run the FAST. OpenAI, Presention, basically open source. You can download it, and this FAST is include a custom virtual reality peripheral network VRPN server. So this server acts as a middleware system between Kinect and our system. So this FAST, it can emulate a keyboard input trigger using a specific body posture and specific gesture. So one of the few devices we intend to integrate with our virtual reality system is Redza Hydra. Besides Kinect is Redza Hydra. So basically, this Redza Hydra is a controller detection game for detecting motion and orientation using our hand movement. Basically, there are 2 types of controller being produced by these 6 entertainments, STEM and Redza Hydra. The one that I experienced during the development of virtual reality system is Redza Hydra. So how we integrate in our virtual reality environment will be explained later on. So the reason we use this Redza Hydra is because we want to interact with the virtual environment using our head movement, and it also provides a precise tracking for our because it comes with the 6 degree of motion sensor. So the issue that we encountered during the development of virtual reality system, there's also no support for in CryEngine and to support the Redza Hydra. So we use a middleware software to integrate our virtual reality system. System Motion Creator, you can download it in their website, System Entertainment and System Motion Creator 2. So, like I mentioned earlier, what is the HMD that we use? The HMD that we use is Oculus Rift. So basically, this HMD is a virtual reality headset that let the player step into the virtual environments that they like. And so there are 2 versions of Oculus Rift available for the developer, and there is no consumer version yet. Development Kit 1 and Development Kit 2. The one that I experienced during the 12 months is the monkey one. So this CryGen is provide unstable dual display. So for that reason, we use our own setup where you embed this configuration inside the system. You can open the system configuration, and the results are shown for the configuration. You can see the dual display for the Oculus Rift. So this Oculus Rift, you need some kind of calibration process in order to in the right position for the calibration purpose. So these software are available in the CryDev forum where you can download it for developed by the communities. And to run this setup, you keep your Oculus Rift in the right position before you open your executable profile for the calibration purpose. Otherwise, it doesn't track where's your point inside the virtual environment. One of the issues that we encounter is audio setting inside the virtual environment. So the CryGen provide a 3D space where you can place an audio source in the virtual reality world. So we must place where the location of the source audio source inside the virtual reality environment in order to get a full immersion inside our virtual reality system. So we came up with the 3 stages of audio experiments. The first stage that for my experiments, we are using a portable speaker, and we noticed that the participants are not fully focused on the task given inside the virtual reality environment. And the second stage, and for that reason, we use a headphone 2.0, and participants are able to focus on their task given and cannot detect the source of sound, but they cannot detect the source of sound and inside the virtual environment. And for that reason, we use a 5.1 wireless headphone. So this headphone provide a user able to immerse and focus in their task, and they are also able to locate the source of sound, meaning that they can detect where the source of sound are being placed inside the virtual environment. So there were several problems encountered while integrating this open source game engine with a controller, HMD, tracker, and other. However, open source provide opportunity for me to contribute to all these problems were finally shown in these presentations. So based on my experience, sometimes we get from the communities, we need to share it back when we get a result. So don't be frustrated if your system sometimes cannot be run. Someone willing to help us inside these communities, and you need to share your discovery and your solution to the communities, and this is what we call open source. It's all about. So over here is basically my future plan in development, still in development. So in our virtual reality environment, we tend to get a tracker using overlay. We can use overlay to move inside the virtual reality environments. So we try to purchase a better resolution. The development kit 1 does not provide a full HD. So for that reason, we try to purchase this Sony HMZ and Oculus Rift in my kit 2. And we try to embed this system into the virtual reality cave system. Here, friends, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmad. Any questions from the floor? Okay. From your experience, from your presentation, I noticed that there are many VR gadgets,
Yes.
by different kinds of manufacturers.
Yeah.
And then each one of it, you have problems with integrating with the
Right.
CRM game.
Yeah.
along the time, there will be more VR gadgets, right?
Yes.
Okay, my question is from your study or your experience using all of these gadgets with all of these manufacturers, how far are we from a plug and play kind of VR gadget? For example, we have now mouse, there are many mouse, but you can just plug it in and you can use mouse without using any drivers, additional. Then what about, for example, all the HMD glove and so on? Are the industry going to provide that kind of
Basically, the industry trying to provide that kind of plug and play version of the head-mount display integrate with the virtual environments. But now they're still in the development process. I have seen a video where they provide these integrations, but you need still some kind of coding before you implement before you plug and play version head-mount.
Yeah, usually there will be some kind of standards, right? So
Yes.
open standard or open architecture, so right? So whenever a manufacturer produce a product, a VR gadget, then the developer will produce some kind that we just follow and then they can be a kind of part.
So for the CryEngine, there is no support yet because they didn't focus on this HMD virtuality environment. So the only company that focused on this virtuality environment, virtuality is Unity. This HMD has been supported this open source game engine on Unity. But CryEngine just announced that intend to go into this some sort of
So the main player will be Unity.
Yeah, the main support will be Unity. So over here we're going to present our CryEngine support.
Okay, then. Yeah, any other questions? No? Okay, with that, thank you, Mr. Ahmad. Okay. Okay, I would like to present the certificates to all the presenters. Yeah, Mr. Natawat.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Omar here. Mrs. Susanna.
Tak tekan. Susah payah kita letak time.
And that's Mr. Ahmad.
Oh,
Tak.
my name. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, with that we end our session this morning. So next we will have a keynote speaker, keynote session at 10:30, and the next session will be on at 11:30.